podcast, All the Smoke. Hey.
Hey, yo, what's up? Put it in the air podcast. Ziggy Smoke Shop. I've been popping right there. Make sure y'all like
Mason, man. Shout out to my boy Big A and that Put It in the Air podcast, man. Shit's on fire. Smoke something, get some information, learn something about yourself.
I woke up like time ticking on my live phone, been blowing like a bagpipe, spin everything that I had, take it back right. Bodies in the home, everybody getting fat right. I keep it running, play me, I'm gunning. I'm about fun and the funk and it's nothing. You wanna talk, ain't no time for discussion. My hustle is nasty, I write disgusting. You get the trap, no I don't want it. I get it lanes and no I don't front it. Fuck all the statues, we nutty like cashews. Watch them out before we getting at you, period. I'm from a place where we kill shit, not over gangs over real shit. Cut off your fingers, you steal shit. We about to catch who the fuck is you dealing with? Who raised you? With all the silly shit, team no sleep.
There's going to be a certain number of whites that get left behind.
Yeah, for sure.
Because when you study the Europeans who came from England, you know, we're talking about a very warlike people. Sometimes we underestimate these white people, and sometimes we got to, you know, we really got to look at history. And I'm not saying we got to celebrate white folks to some degree because they kill us. But one thing we do have to do is we got to go back and look back, and we got to see they didn't just come in and be negotiating with motherfuckers. They were very non-negotiable motherfucking people. And they took what they wanted. Fair. And so, but there's a crazy thing that's happening now, is that same group of whites, they're getting their ass handed to them.
Yeah.
But not by the righteous people though.
No.
Not by like black people who would actually deserve to be like kicking white people's ass right now for the historical crimes. The funny part about it is, there's a guy by the name of Theodore Hegel, if I'm saying his first name right, Hegel. And basically what he has is a system that I will break down for you. It's called problem, reaction, solution. And so it's called Hegelianism. And so Hegelianism has been mixed with Marxism, right? And what Marxism is basically critical theory. And critical theory is just where you criticize everything with no intent to like try to fix it or repair it.
No, you're not changing nothing.
Just use the critique of things, and that's your politics. That's why black community sit out here just, talking about, man, we've been voting for so long, we ain't got nothing. Because we've been duped into a system where it appears that these are our friends, the Democrats, because they're always criticizing white supremacy. But it's those same Democrats who never do anything about white supremacy.
And who also put us in predicaments to where our communities are impoverished.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we signed things like the 1994 crime bill Joe Biden was responsible for under the Bill Clinton, in the Bill Clinton White House. We could talk about Barack Obama's policies of quantitative easing and how Barack Obama made 1.1 million new millionaires, and less than 0.2% of those were black, like he said he was. And so when you have a man come into office and take 99.8% of another group of people, other groups of people to make them wealthy, and you still got pictures of Barack Obama at your house, something is wrong with you.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of shit in people's houses, ain't in my house. I ain't with the funnies. It's a lot of funny stuff, and then like you said, it be all kind of hidden agendas and schemes and shit going on behind the scenes. And the only way that you will even understand them is if you take the time to understand them. And if you're so busy with trying to survive, you don't take the time to understand them. So anybody get voted. What they say, secret empires?
Smurf, the only person you can trust is yourself.
Facts.
You can't trust yourself. Don't even say that.
I trust me. I don't give a fuck what y'all talking about. Yeah, I done did enough untrusting of myself and being put in gambling situations to where I critically think about stuff before I move. You know what I'm saying? To where I used to just move. You know that, if anybody. I
would have never gotten the trouble I did had I actually listened to myself.
And see,
I told myself I knew what was going down
for
and
sure.
Avoided it anyways because I should have trusted myself.
Facts.
Yeah, so this is a good book right here, man.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, what's that say? Father Empires?
Secret Empires.
Secret Empires. Y'all make sure to check that book out, man. The Deep State. Huh. So given that you just put that book up, what is your observation of Trump in comparison to what other people say?
Are you ready for this?
Hell yeah.
See, the thing about Trump is that Trump is the lone individual who they've been asking Trump about being a president way longer than he gave a damn about being a president.
Facts.
I've seen the Oprah in the 90s.
Being the president to Donald Trump has never been like, that's a goal. But what Donald Trump said when talked about and asked about being a president, he talked about trade in Asia. He talked about the inequity of the trade in Asia, which I think is a very fair conversation when you consider that America is the home to damn near every technological device that you can imagine or think of, but you cannot look at cities in America that are built around mothers and fathers who got good ass jobs at the factories to make the shit America has invented. These are very common sense solutions to our society. Our society the politicians are not the people who solve the problems. They're the people who create them. And as soon as people realize that the politicians are not there to solve the problems, the politicians are strictly there to cause the problems, particularly if, and this is where people are going to go real berserk, if those politicians are on the left. Because leftism is Marxism. Marxism is critical theory. Critical theory is communism. Communism is socialism. Socialism says EBTs, Section 8, housing, mass transfer, affordable housing, access to health care. That's Marxism, socialism in your face. They're not coming to the black community saying anything about entrepreneurship or doing what we're doing, which is career technical education, to teach you how to swing a hammer so you can be an architect or an engineer. We're 43rd in the world to produce goddamn engineers. So engineers solve problems last time I checked. So anybody who's got the type of wealth and history that America has, surely we've got people who are intelligent enough, who are on Capitol Hill, who understand, hey, when you're not producing engineers, you're probably allowing problems to mount up throughout your society, which that has a moral decay when people look around their communities and see their communities are depressed, they beat down. You turn on CNBC or CNN, they'll show you pictures of China, and you can walk through the city and the doors open. You don't got to open them. It's computers and everywhere, flat screen, laptop, and cars driving themselves. They just, we love China. Everything good, nice and new, brand new. Whoosh. With a Louis bag and some Dolce & Gabbana with an iPhone and some Ray-Ban glasses. Like, I mean, it's just like, you see.
But don't a lot of that got to do with the culture too, though, not just the economy? Because they cultures are more intact than what you would have in the melting pot in America.
Their culture is vastly overrated. Now let me say this: we're talking about a people that just 100 and some odd years ago, the entire damn their government was high on opium.
Yeah.
William Jardine, look it up, Jardine. You talk about big dope dealer. You thought you was a dope dealer? He wasn't William Jardine. He literally took all the silver, damn near that was in the treasury, what they at that time called the Great Celestial Empire, and it left on a ship with the white man. So this is what they call the 100 years shame in China. And so we can't sit here and say that they got some great culture.
But we can't call it
opium. Now let me just say this also.
But hold on, before you get into that, just because cultures have their bad marks, I guess you could say, just because things have happened that wasn't exactly for the good. I mean, we got to agree that the culture in these other countries is more intact than it is in America, because America is such a melting pot of different cultures. You don't really have a culture here. So people like us, the only culture that we know is the random culture that we've been introduced to for all these years, because this is all we know, to where they've been living like they've been living for a long time.
Yeah, you can't compare it.
Now let me show
you can't.
Like, Have you ever seen something, a nice glass sculpture that looks good? Now let me be the sledgehammer to beat up your little glass swan.
All right, sledgehammer.
Now, what is the political system of China? This great old empire. What is it called? Is it Chineseism? Is it Mandarinism? No, I got it. It's ancient Chinese words that we can't even pronounce. Or is it Marxism? Communism. So tell me, since there's some great old culture, then surely they've got their own political system because they got some great culture. Please tell me, what's their political system, Mr. Big A? Put it in the air, podcast, sir.
So, and that's cute. That's cute that's the angle you took.
Is it like that Chineseism? You like that?
Let me have my little time, please, sir. Thank you. That was so far from the point I was making. So yes, you did make a valid point, and yes, I didn't say that what you were saying was wrong. What I was saying is in comparison to the confusion in our country, the fact that they do fall pretty much under one system is a little more intact than the melting pot of systems that we got, because this is the reason why we having these conversations now, and the reason why the predicament of different groups of people is so different in America. It's because you're talking about different groups of people versus just a country of one people.
Well, they killed like millions and millions of Chinese people in order to install the system of communism socially. They're not under one system because they got some good culture.
And the CCP is not old. Like the CCP is a very young.
Side of his own people.
It's not feudal time.
I feel what you're saying, but how does that make it any different? All I'm saying is
it is not so.
They know more. They know more about their history than we know about our history.
Say what?
They know more about their history than we know about our history. They're not dealing with they're not dealing with single parent mother homes and stuff like that like we dealing with over here. It's a lot of positives to whatever they have. Not saying that it's perfect. I'm just saying that in comparison to the jungle book of shit we got going on in America, it would be ideal.
Now let me take you back. I just told you that in 1950s, a black student was more likely to have two parents in the home than was a white student. Now let's pause. This is nearly 100 years from slavery. We know what the enslavement of African people in this country, indigenous people in this country, did to the family. But yet and still, here we are, 100 years into having quote unquote freedom.
We never got freedom. We got liberty. We got liberty. We didn't get freedom.
Understand?
There's a difference.
But the family and the concept of the family, not only in the minds of the people, but also in the families themselves. When you look and you see that these families were not divided. You understand?
I understand, but hold on. It's something very important that we got to clear up about something you just said.
And we're talking about people who are completely devoid of culture, coming from anything that you would consider to be culture, but they still had the sense to have family. So when we attribute that to the Chinese, I want you to understand. Again, I will caution you to look at that not necessarily as any culture that we haven't had or shown in this country.
So to be fair, what you just said, the sentence that you just said, if we're talking about freedom, that's a completely different conversation than if we're talking about liberty. For those who don't understand the difference, freedom is freedom to do whatever you want to do. Liberty is freedom to do. No, freedom is allowed. Yeah, freedom is liberty to do what I allow you to do. Right. So under the circumstances, if we're talking about liberty, which is what we got because we didn't get freedom, we are in a position to do what they allow us to do until we are granted freedom. Why ain't nobody fighting for freedom? Because as long as you under liberty, you can complain about shit, but it's still under their system, under their rule, and you're able to do what they allow you to do.
Freedom means Freemason.
But I was speaking in the sense of what we was talking about. We was talking about you had said that they was doing something for the freedom that they received, but they never received it. They only got liberty. Right? Is that wrong?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you're right.
So if they only got liberty and they expecting benefits of something they expecting benefits of freedom, wouldn't that constitute that it would be better to be up under the same system for a lifetime and know your history and know your background and know your people and know your lineage versus being like motherfucking niggas in America to where most of us don't even understand that some of us was already here?
But how can you dissertate what is fact? Like saying China because they know their history, but being part of the Communist Party, think of like North Korea. Like literally they think Kim Jong-un was like eagled every hole on 18 holes of golf. Like that dude invented tortillas. Like
that's the real smart dude, right? The one that they said
North Korea. Like so, Kim Jong Il is the one now. Kim Jong Un was one before, I think.
Oh, okay.
Like,
so it was a few of them.
Like they've had complete control since the Korean War. We ran away, and North and South split up.
Okay, but
which they make up like. The history. So if you said North Korea, like they've got good values, they take care of their family, they know their history, but their history is just based on what the government tells them it is. So do you take everything your government tells you to be fact of your history? Like you said, there were some that were already here.
Facts. But you got black people that still don't know it was black people that was already here. And it's 2023.
There's lots of people here. There's lots of people already everywhere
Facts.
Around the world.
Yeah, these lands was already populated. You muted, Siik.
I don't think there's a lot of people who still don't know. I think
there is. There's a lot. In Oklahoma, I know a lot.
Man, bro, start watching these other people's podcasts and these other people's live forums. There's a lot of people get that information.
But ignorance is bliss.
They don't.
It's still a lot of people that don't know Albert Einstein wasn't a white man. So you got to be realistic. Like I know in the groups and the circles that you used to dealing with, like some of this stuff don't have to be disclosed because it's already like-minded and understood information. But this day and age, like you got to super explain stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I literally got into it with a Christian man on this podcast because this man told me the council and Nicaea didn't exist. And that the books of the Bible weren't voted on. So, you know what I'm saying? But this is information that where if you in them realms of information, it's nothing for you to have that information. And it's like, it almost becomes common sense to you because this is like, come on, bro. You don't even have to remember all the details, but you know enough of the information to where you done made a decision about it.
I talked to a dude that said he was a Khazarian Jew and he didn't know who King Mulan was.
And you know what? To me, that sounds Chinese. But he's supposed to know that. You see what I'm saying? He's supposed to know that. That's how lost people are in America. Like they will, man, listen, people will start making up shit and adding it to history and try to make you believe it. And then you got to sit up here and decipher whether what they're giving you is factual information or if it's just somebody else trying to lead a cult. So that's why I say like it'd be little bitty details about whether we talking about freedom or we talking about liberty. You know the difference. So when you say it, I know what you mean. But somebody who don't know that there's really a technical difference between liberty and freedom, they could hear something, and the fact that they think in freedom, the narrative can stick. But when you think when you think in liberation, you think in liberty, you looking at it in a completely different way because the construct changes. You know what I'm saying? All they did is incorporate economic slavery after segregation and civil rights and all that shit. That's all they did. And what we live in now is economic slavery. That's how I feel. That's my opinion. So it's like, it's not a different system. The system just changed. That's like before, we was talking about the Willie Lynch letters the other day. Before the Willie Lynch letters, they did slavery one way. After the Willie Lynch letters, they did slavery a different way. It was almost like they upgraded from the iPhone 14 to the iPhone 16.
You know, white supremacy has gone through different phases. It's gone through.
Fact.
Yo, this big Rhino, owner of Ziggy's Mac, you know what I'm saying? Put it down for my boy, Put It in the Air podcast, all the smoke. Hey, yo, what's up? Put It in the Air podcast, Ziggy Smoke Shop. I've been popping like that. Make sure y'all tune in.
Mason, man, shout out to my boy Big A and that Put It in the Air podcast, man. Shit's on fire. Smoke something, get some information, learn something about yourself.
Another EME production.
My money tall, my money tall. My money tall, it ain't my fault. Look at my nigga just signing that gloss. If I get in the game, ain't nothing gon' ball. Me and my dog, Pop few beans in a Percocet, now your girlfriend climbing on top of the wall. I'm a young star, I ain't talking about mob. Put that on God, put that on God. But the head was so far, had to throw the little homie alive. Body shots and head shots.